What are some of the most interesting races in the universe besides KALASK?
Well, I remember the Invaders that was interesting, like Vortex, for example, yes.
Uh-huh.
Quetzal is very connected to them closely. Solaris would never speak for the vessel, but they're also similar frequency. Molecular may be interesting, but likely to be avoided for any of your kind. So it depends what you call such. For us, interesting, of course, are being such as the kitty cats, because they're a challenge to us, yes. The royal lineage of us is, of course, interesting as there is still a large influence on our existence as the entire empire. Correct?
Uh-huh.
And of course, certain birdies are interesting to us for a certain reason or the other. Not likely for the reason that member of your own planet are viewing them, because they're viewing them through lenses that are likely faulted and flawed. Or there are numerous other crickets that are interesting to us as well, even though we cannot make the same progress with them as we can with the group that you're familiar with through the vessel. Certain hairless monkeys are interesting, as the entire hairless monkey species is very strange to us due to their high increasement of emotionality. That's also why we're currently interacting with you, yes. And it's easier for us to interact with hairless monkeys that are as confused and scared as you are than those that are perhaps more on the emotional fringe that are far away from us frequency-wise. Right? Then there are also those that are more easier for us to interact with, like the group you mentioned earlier, that had contact with the woman group from the Vessel Constellation, yes, that can still somehow interact with us. Certain merchant groupings, yes. Then certain groupings, the Pleiades, that are to a certain frequency rise very dissimilar from us, but they also have a certain value of technological advancement that somehow are useful to some of our own kind. As remember, this entire star system is also populated with members of our species, and there are also some interaction, even though some of them are not necessarily linked to the Empire due to the difference of frequency.
Okay.
Around the Sirius star, there are also similar groupings that are of a similar nature are interesting to us. Also certain hybrid experiments, but again, those are all interesting to us for various reasons.
Okay. What is the largest biological being that you know of?
Planetary bodies.
Well,
Many
yeah.
of them have something like a biological entity that grows around the entire planet. Like in one big plant that grows around the entire planet, or plant planet basically.
Yeah, kind of like what I meant by biological was more like, an individual that can stand on two legs and or however many legs and walk around or whatever.
You're considering what you're calling five-star pattern, yes, arms, legs, etc.
Yeah.
Yes. There are certainly some that are a mile high or a kilometer even high.
Wow.
Or on planets, of course, that have the surface that make it possible for those individuals to have a certain existence on such planets to adjust to the frequency. So they're somewhat aligned to this particular form.
So what do these beings look like?
They're also likely of a similar reptilian nature, not like that we would be in any way, shape, or form linked to them. You would perhaps be reminded of your Godzilla, yes?
Okay.
So not too dissimilar from our own form, but obviously in size.
Okay.
But
Uh,
they're also what you consider perhaps able to shift.
what do you mean shift? Shift their size?
Yes.
Okay. Are there really some spacefaring races that are only a few inches or centimeters tall?
Very possible, yes. Perhaps there are also genetic experiments, however, of others.
Okay.
It depends on you go to spacefaring. Viruses are also spacefaring, and they're even smaller.
Right, right. Do most other galaxies have as much genetic variety as the Milky Way?
Unlikely, our Milky Way is much more life-friendly, perhaps, at least to what you consider life. If you're talking about your bipedal beings, yes?
Okay. Do most galaxies have a capital star system at their center, similar to trees all?
Yes.
Okay. All of
Not
them?
all.
Okay.
No.
Uh, are galaxies themselves alive in the way planets and stars are alive?
The galactic sun likely is, yes. And therefore, well, all stellar bodies are somewhat alive. So the same way you could ask, am I alive? The same way bacteria in my body is alive.
Okay.
You consist of them, yes? So it's part of you. The same way planetary bodies are a part of the galaxy that are form larger beings, so to speak. It's all a question of what you call consciousness. Also what dimension you're asking.
So could the entire universe itself be considered a living being?
That's what we would likely consider a living entity. Yes, it's part of what you might consider God from your religious idea.
Okay. All right. Well,
But it's not like it's a biological person or something. Yes, it's a frequency. It's a
right.
consciousness. Consciousness is perhaps a better term than living being.
Okay.